pretty much what happened was I got punched in the gut during the fight, and over the weekend, the stomach pain started building up. So I was feeling that pain, that pressure in my stomach just slowly rise up, and eventually it started feeling like it was a knife in my gut twisting on Sunday night. And I woke up in the middle of the night screaming, asking for pain relief, go to the hospital.
I could imagine that it was really painful for you. I mean, I've never had an appendicitis, but everybody who I've talked to, they've said that it's just wretched pain. Like it's horrible.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've never felt anything like it. I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I got to go to the hospital. My mother kept reassuring me, like, no, you don't have to go there. You don't have to go there. Let's just take some Advil, see if you need to go back in the morning. And sure enough, the pain just subsided for a little bit. And then we went to the hospital in the morning because the pain was still kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to wait like 8 hours to see a doctor. And that's when the medication wore off. And let's see.
I think that's crazy that you had to wait 8 hours to see a doctor.
Well, the healthcare system in Canada is kind of deteriorated. It used to be actually pretty good, but now it's like some days now, like you got to wait like 12 hours.
Really?
To see a doctor. Yeah.
So
it's pretty bad.
I bet that wasn't good for you because, if anything, you can't be on any kind of medication, especially if you need to go into surgery. So I bet you had to wait until that medication wore off as well too.
Yeah. I think we had a guy who died in the waiting room because he wasn't seen. Yeah. In Winnipeg, Manitoba. That's where I live right now.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So there was a guy waiting too long, essentially.
Yeah, he waited too long and died. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was probably about a couple years before that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the year, but so the morphine, they gave me like a large amount of morphine. I think it was like over 80 milligrams of morphine.
Really?
And that's a lot. That is a lot.
Well,
they gave me like a huge syringe.
What's interesting about that is morphine, essentially, from what I know, is not only really powerful, but they're supposed to kind of slowly drip it in, essentially to give you pain relief.
Yeah, I know.
But giving you a large dose like that, especially at 15.
Yeah. I've had two friends, like one friend, my brother, my youngest brother, who had appendicitis as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not sure about my youngest brother, but they both had like that morphine, like a tiny little amount dripping into their IV bag.
Right.
I was like, that's not what they gave me.
Wow.
They gave me like a big ass needle.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you think that maybe that might have been what pushed you over the edge? To maybe almost cross over?
Well, no, I think it was the toxins because the appendicitis, like my appendix already bursted and
it did.
The toxins were leaking into my system already.
Really?
Yeah, and so my doctor, they performed the surgery, but they left this hole like right around my belly button, and it was like leaking fluids for like 3 years.
What? Really?
Yeah, and they said, "Oh, well, it has to leak out. We have to get the toxins out." Like, so I had to keep it clean with ice. They gave me like 2 bottles of what is that called? Iodine solution.
Really? That's crazy.
That was, yeah.
So once you had the morphine, though, once they hooked you up, that was it. It was kind of lights out for you.
Oh yeah, it was like a blink of an eye. It was gone.
And did you
And
feel
like,
it? So you probably didn't feel any pain immediately following that.
no, I didn't feel any pain. Like, it was like 10 hours later. Well, that's when like the dream happened. Yeah, I was following this dog up this hill. It was a little scruffy dog. And I didn't even know why I was following this dog. I just knew I had to follow him. And so we get up this hill, and we could see this. It leads to a bridge, and it goes over a valley. And this it was a clear sky, and the clouds were kind of clearing up to a kind of like blue with scattered clouds sky.
Okay.
And the sun was shining down towards us, and like from across the bridge. And so we started walking towards the bridge, and like halfway across the bridge, I noticed like I hear like a voice coming from the clouds, and I'm like, Well, I stop and look at the clouds. I'm wondering what that noise is,
Yeah.
and then I hear Isaac, 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 and I'm like, what the heck is that? I'm like, someone's saying my name.
Yeah.
And they, I'm like, what do you want? They're like, where are you? They're like, I heard a whole bunch of laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I'm like, I'm on a bridge with a dog, and they're like, no, Isaac, where are you? I'm like, I'm on a bridge. What are you talking about? And they're like, no, Isaac, where are you? And I'm like, I come to, and I'm like, wait, I'm in a hospital. I see, I'm in a bed, and I'm surrounded by my family members, and like a nurse who's asking me these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And my family were the voices who were laughing. And I was like, okay, I'm in a hospital, but I'm also in, because I could somehow see both. Like, it was like double vision. I don't know how to explain that.
Mm-hmm.
I could see both in this dream-like state and this hospital bed at the same time. I was seeing.
So it's kind of like a veil. And a lot of people have described this in their near-death experiences, especially when they're coming back or they're leaving. It seems like there's a veil in this reality that is kind of lifted to show us a different reality. And it's really hard to explain if you've never had a near-death experience. But that sounds like what that is that your consciousness was in two places at one time. It was almost like it was ready to leave. So it was in the other reality, plus it was in this reality, kind of coming back, still connected to your body.
That's how I was trying to explain it. And I've had an old coworker who told me he had a near-death experience, and it just went black for him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it went black for you? My near-death experience didn't go black. It was like I was in two different places at once.
Yeah.
And he got angry at me because of that, because I said that. And I wonder why. He's like, there's nothing happens after you die. Nothing.
Okay. Well, I will say this. The blackness has been shown to be a hard time letting go of the ego. So usually people who see blackness in a near-death experience, they have some type of ego mentality, if that makes sense, and they have a hard time letting go of it. And that's why it shows them nothingness. Because essentially it tries to detach that consciousness from the physical ego that's holding on to it. But yours was a little bit different because you were climbing up a muddy hill. It was raining. Yeah. It's almost like you had to get through something. It's like you were, and that dog, was that to you like a spirit guide or like some type of spirit animal, do you think?
You know what's interesting about that is my earliest memories were my dreams. I had this one repeated nightmare over and over again of running away from 3 wolves and being one of the wolves as well.
Really?
And so, yeah, I remember running through this brush and like just getting into this clearing. And then as soon as I get into the clearing, I look back and I see these three wolves come out of the brush. One gray, one black in the middle, and then the white is on the left side of the black wolf.
Really? That's very symbolic.
I was the black. Yeah, I was the black wolf looking at me, but I was also looking at those wolves.
Oh wow!
I remember trying to explain that to my mother, and then actually, they. I don't know if this is true, but they told me they took me to my great grandfather, who my second middle name is Manny, and his name is Manny, and he took my dreams away apparently.
Huh. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a connection there.
Well, after that near-death experience, I started dreaming nonstop. Like,
really?
every day. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. And here's the thing with near-death experiences, once you come back, and I know from my own personal near-death experiences, there is still a connection to the other side. So you feel, and you feel like things aren't, in a sense, I guess, real in this physical plane, because this isn't the true reality. The other side is the true reality. So you have all of these different senses kind of open up for you, and the dreaming is just nonstop, because that's almost how they communicate in a way, is through the dreams.
You know, I told my grandfather that I feel like my dreams are more real than this reality, and that this reality is an illusion.
Yeah, it is. Exactly.
You stay in the illusion, and I'm like, it's kind of hard though.
Right.
To see this world as like a I don't know what to describe it as, but like it's not as real as what it could be.
Yeah, and that's really hard for the majority of people to understand and to grasp the concept. But all of the people who have had near-death experiences know exactly what you're talking about, because they've already been through it. And that veil that's lifted, that connection of consciousness, there is this... If there's people out there who haven't had a near-death experience, then it's kind of hard for them to understand that our consciousness is actually more powerful than the physical. And it can be in multiple places at once. It's just that right now you're on this journey. So right now it's kind of focused in on this part. And so when you separate, that's why you had that kind of in and out, that veil lifting experience where you were back in the hospital, but you were still kind of on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, and it took you a while to kind of come back in. So as far as that, you did mention that you told this to a coworker, and what did they say about that dog and that bridge?
Okay, so my coworker, he said, he's like, there was a valley. Maybe the valley could have been the Valley of Death. I was like, never heard of a Valley of Death. Maybe. And he said, maybe you're crossing the bridge between life and death. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. And I got goosebumps all over my arms when I heard that. I was like, okay, maybe. Yeah. And he was like, maybe that dog was Anubis. And I was like, okay, that's weird.
Right.
And he said, maybe you're going to go get your heart weighed with a feather. And I'm like, oh man, I would go straight off the bridge if I got my heart weighed.
Yeah, that sounds more like the old Egyptian. The ancient, like, I don't want to call it a religion, but I guess it is kind of a religion, what they believed in.
It was like a mythology for them.
Mythology, yeah. So what's interesting about this is that when you were there, how real did that experience feel to you? Because I know a lot of times people say, well, you were just dreaming. It was the morphine. It gave you a great dream and you were just coming out of it. But how real and different was that compared to a dream?
I don't know. It felt just as real as like here, being here. And I don't know, like my dreams afterwards became just as
just as real.
As vivid. And it's like, okay, I can't ignore that. So I started painting my dreams.
Oh wow.
Until my friends said, like, you can't paint your dreams, they're morbid. And I'm like, okay, I gotta stop painting them, but now it's kind of like suppressed, but it's still, they're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. And prior to this, what were your dreams like?
Like nothing. Like
Yeah.
I didn't dream after I got my dreams taken away. There was like no dreams.
Yeah. Huh.
And like when I did start dreaming, it was like, it was like everything just changed. It was like all I can think of was my dreams. All I can talk about was my dreams. I was just like, these dreams. It kind of uh, made me distance myself from everyone else because I was just like, I'm seeing this stuff and no one else is.
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, and not only do I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, but I know there's other people who do too, because all of this has a place for connecting people to the other side. We're all on this journey together. We all experience different things. But there's people out there who are just like you, where they've had these experiences and they don't know how to share them with people because people react differently. You might find somebody who you start to kind of open up to, and then that person maybe has already had a near-death experience before, or they know somebody who has, so they're a little bit more open and perceptive to it. But then you get the people like your coworker who just kind of shut it off completely, and that guy had a near-death experience.
Yeah.
So there are some people who just shut it off completely and say there is nothing. I know I've talked to a lot of people who mention the blackness and that's all that they were in. And I know for a fact, after speaking to people involved in, especially like ketamine therapy and things like that, where they try to help people with PTSD, they put them into this this state of conscious being, okay, where they leave their body. When they do that, if they're in blackness and nothing, it's because they have something psychologically wrong with the ego. So they could be a narcissist. They could be something something where they think of only themselves, and that's why they're seeing nothing, because they care about this physical, and the physical doesn't even matter. The physical is the illusion.
Yeah. So you're saying like they can't see past the illusion, maybe.
Exactly. And that's why it's just blackness for them. And it sounds like that guy was like that if he made the comment that he did to you immediately following after, like, there's nothing, like he's so confident in that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I would hope that there is something, and I don't understand how people can believe there is nothing, because we have to come from something, so we have to go back to it eventually, To say that there is nothing is just, I don't know, it's ignorant to me.
I told I remember when I was a teenager, I was pretty suicidal after that. And I told my friend, I just want to return back to nothingness. I want to return back to nothingness. And she said, there's no such thing as nothingness. There's only everything.
Right.
Because nothing can't exist, because we are here. That means nothing can't be here.
Right. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's actually well said. I like that.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. That like sent me down a whole, what's the word? Rabbit hole. And I just, I went with it, and it led me to everything pretty much.
Yeah. And that's true. And going down those rabbit holes are eye-opening, because you think you have it all planned out. You think you know how this life is, but you really don't, because that's what the illusion does to you. The illusion wraps itself around you like layers of an onion, It's just like, it just keeps wrapping itself around you, to where now every time you break free of one little bit of a layer, there's another layer there. And then you have to kind of break free of that. And then that's what the rabbit hole does. It keeps taking you further down.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think, you know what? I have actually tried shrooms one time. Well, actually, I tried shrooms twice, but one time actually affected me like visually. Like I could see everything has like patterns to it. Like like a snake skin pattern to everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the physical reality. Like it's, well, many tribes talk about a serpent, and that serpent created, well, is like the king of this plane.
Right.
And actually humans have what's called a trireme brain, which is like the reptilian serpent, like subconscious in our brains. That like, well, perhaps it like affects us and can cause demonic possession.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. Is that?
But it's just subconsciousness.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting that you say that is that all the different ancient religions always talk about serpents. Think about that. And they were all separate from each other. There was no global sharing like we have now with the internet. So how did they all sense the same like symbols, like the same patterns, the same methods of things? Like they all had this weird connection to each other. All of these religions do, these ancient cultures.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really interesting.
Yeah. I have been studying symbology for a good while, and like our connection to those stories. And I've read about maybe 8 or 10 stories from all over the world about an eagle or a thunder god and the serpent in the end of days.
Right. Yep.
They always talk about the serpent and the thunder god.
Right. Right. You know what's interesting is that they always talk about when they mention the end of days. It's very odd to me, and I've talked about this before, that it seems and it appears that we go through resets in this illusion, this physical life. We go through a period of resetting the system. And,
like a cycle.
Yeah, just like a cycle. And we've always done it. And that's why we're ready for another one. And I think that's why these governments are acting so quickly now to cause something to happen. And who knows what it is, but they're all planning for this 2030, and they call it the Great Reset. It's one of the biggest things out there that they are talking about. Now, they're talking about resetting the financial system, but it could be something much more. That could be like a disguise of the fact that there is something even bigger coming up.
I wrote about like biblical prophecies and this current coronavirus, and I tied it with the angel that's mentioned there, Apollyon, the destroyer. Okay. Pretty much what coronavirus means. It's Latin, and it the symbolic meaning of corona is the sun's crown. But if you look at a picture of the sun's crown, you get a black sun, and virus means the serpent's poison or venom. And so what it could mean in Latin symbolically is the black sun's venom. So the symbolic importance of the black sun is it's the eclipse, it's the sun and the moon, and that's in one vessel though. And so we humans, our vessels and our consciousness would have to be channeled through the vessel. That's probably why we can leave this vessel. That's probably why there are ghosts, sleep paralysis, and NDEs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Well, this is really interesting. I would actually like to have you back on to talk about the symbology stuff. I'd really like to have a discussion with you on that.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to plan that with you. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you doing this and talking about your near-death experience, only because it just helps the people who are out there who have either gone through it or they know somebody who's gone through it, and they can just understand it a little bit better. Because that's really all we're
Yeah.
trying to do is just understand the reality we live in and what comes after this.
Oh yeah. Those are important questions. If
Yeah.
we've been living here for how long, and nobody's really been like trying to build a real group of like, uh, well, research pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get bogged down in dogmatic ideologies, and
That's right.
it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. It does that for a reason, though. It does that on purpose.
Yeah.
It does that in order to control.
Yeah, control.
Yeah.
It is control.
So that way people don't look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. We talk about a lot of crazy stuff here. So if you want to hear more, just like and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out a lot. And plus, if you have a crazy story, whether it be an alien abduction, near-death experience, or something of the paranormal, or a glitch in the matrix, please let us know. Share it in the comments. We'd love to have you on the show.